Hello ladies and gents and everything in between and outside of it, I'm Sophia and welcome back. Today I'm doing a book haul. All the books are still on my shelf, so I need to get them out, which is going to be fun. This is the long-awaited England book haul that you guys have been waiting for. I mean, if you follow me on Instagram. You would know that I went to England over Easter, and when I go to England I buy a shit ton of books just because they're easier to get there and cheaper, since I only read English written books, but I live in the Netherlands, so they don't have that many. This time I got 21 books. I do want to do a few disclaimers. First of all, I'm sick, so don't mind the way I look or sound. Second of all, I did not pay for all these books myself. Me and my mom did a bit of a 50-50, but you know, half of these books are also from like secondhand bookstores, so it's not like I paid for all of them full price. And I had another disclaimer. Bye, Miss America, bye. I put them all in different piles, so each pile is the same store where I got them, just so that it's like a bit easier for you guys to understand, you know, if you want to get them as well when you are in England or you live in England or just the UK in general, because these are like UK stores. Just before I left, I did go to a other bookstore in the Netherlands with my friend, and I did get 2 books, so I just want to quickly show you guys them as well because I never actually publicly announced the books that I got. First book that I got was Love Me Not by N.J. Arledge, which is actually part of a series, the Helen Gray series, which is a detective inspector, which I did not know. I think it's like a series that you could like just read standalone, but I think it makes more sense if you read it in order. So basically this book is about, well, Helen Gray, she's a detective, but a body is found in the middle of the road, which just looks like a car accident. But then it's actually clear on the scene that it was murder, and then a few hours later a storekeeper is also found killed, and the police are starting to think that these 2 cases are connected, and then it's an entire chase of finding the killer. And then this is number 2. This is Turtles All the Way Down by John Green, which is also being turned into a movie. I have Looking for Alaska, The Fault in Our Stars, and Paper Towns. I have all of them. I haven't read a single one of them. Is that kind of stupid? Maybe, but I just have a gut feeling that I'll like the books anyway, so I just keep buying them. But this is about 16-year-old Asa, and she's trying to be a good daughter, a good friend, and a good student, but she's also trying to track down fugitive billionaire Russell Pickett, who has vanished without a trace. And then her and her best friend set off in pursuit of the truth and a $100,000 reward. Then they basically just try to find out the truth and everything without it like completely tearing them apart. So that was all. So now we're going to move on to the English piles. I'm going to go from smallest pile to biggest pile. The first book that I'm going to be talking about is Unholy Murders. I got this at Morrison's, and which is I think just a British grocery store, and they often, British like grocery stores, they just have like a few books, and I just quickly went to check, and this looked really interesting, and so I just picked it up for £4.50. That's nothing. The coffin is dug up in a historic convent, and inside is the body of a young nun, and they just don't really think much of it until they see the scratch marks inside of the coffin. Detective Jane Tennyson believes that she has unearthed a mystery far darker than she's ever investigated before. And her superiors are like, well, it's a cold case, just leave it. She's obviously not gonna leave it. I bought so many thrillers and mysteries this time. Last time I really went for the romances and like the coming of age books, and this time I really went back to my roots, back to my babes. So this is super sexy, super fun, super fun, super sexy. Yeah, and I paid for £4.50 for this. So absolute bargain. W. Smith is basically a British retailer, just a British retailer. No, but they just sell like a bunch of like school stuff, school supplies as well. But they always have this one really nice deal, which is buy one get one half price. They don't have that for all the books, but they do have that for most of the books. We just went in there to check it out because obviously we don't want to miss out on a deal, you know, save money. So we got these 2 books. The first book that we got was Sanatorium by Senna Pierce and Pierce. And I actually got this because I have this little thing. I got that last time while shopping, I think at Waterstones, and it's been hanging on my door the entire time. I just put it here because this book was here in my bookshelf, so I thought it would be fitting. So this book is about Detective Ellen Warner, and her brother is invited to his engagement party in an abandoned sanatorium. Interesting place to have an engagement party though. She doesn't really want to go, but she feels like she doesn't have a choice to accept or not. So she just goes. The next morning they wake up and her brother's fiance is missing, and that's only the first person that's going missing. And a lot of people say that this is like a, I hate her name, I can never pronounce it. I don't hate her name. Agatha Christie type of thing, which is the same author that wrote. It's still playing in London. I think this year was like the 70th. It's being referred to that, which I can't understand because it is a very similar storyline. With the deal, I also got Châtelet. Every time me and my mom saw this in the store, or we were just talking about it, we would just say Châtelet. I don't know why. It was adding to the feeling of it. But I feel like a lot of people have heard this. Obviously, it's been all over like BookTube and TikTok and that stuff. But it's basically about this teenage girl, and she's being held captive, and by the same people that are holding her captive, they want to use her as a weapon because I'm pretty sure that like everyone she touches like dies. And then basically she finds the strength to fight back, and she wants like freedom, and she wants to and to find a future with the one person who she thought she'd lost forever. And apparently like by the book the story gets better. Like the first book is like okay, but like I think the third book is really really good, since this is a massive series as far as I know. And I got this then for £4.50 since it was half price. It's basically a ghost hunting book which explains ghost hunting and how like they present themselves, how to investigate properly. It just explains a lot about spirits and the paranormal. If you don't know, I'm an absolute sucker for the paranormal. I'm also a massive Sam and Colby fan. If you're a Sam and Colby fan, let me know down below because I need a few more babes that are a sucker for Colby. Okay. And I also got this massive book, hardcover. It's not the most recent, but the one before that of the Helen Gray series. I need to get it. It's not like you see a hardcover that was released 2 years ago, £2.50, okay? My goal is to get all, like the entire series secondhand because I have currently 4 parts and they're all secondhand. So that's kind of my goal, and I saw this and I didn't want to just leave it there. This one is basically about a phone call, and it tells them that they only have 1 hour to live, but they don't know why that person only has 1 hour to live. And then Helen Grace, the detective inspector, this is her case now. This is a case where the killer seems to always be one step ahead of the police and the victims. With no motive, no leads, no clues, nothing but pure fear. An hour can last a lifetime. And this was originally in £13, so absolute babe, yeah. I also got Eeny Meeny, which is the first part of the Helen Gray series. So I can actually start the series from where I was supposed to, and then I have to find all the other ones. The girl emerged from the woods barely alive. Her story was beyond belief, but it was true. Every dreadful word of it. Days later, another desperate escapee is found, and a pattern is emerging. Pairs of victims are being abducted, imprisoned, then faced with a terrible choice: kill or be killed. Would you rather lose your life or lose your mind? All of these series are like, all the parts of the series are like sayings, where you have eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and then be killed, kill, that kind of thing. An absolute bargain as well. Eleanor Oliphant. That's how you spell elephant in Dutch. So I'm just gonna ignore every sentence that says her last name, because I'm just gonna be like, Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine, because that's how I work. But it's basically on the back. I'm just gonna redo the blurb. It's very short, very easy. Eleanor Oliphant leads a normal life. She wears the same clothes to work every day. She eats the same meal for lunch every day. She buys the same 2 bottles of vodka to drink every weekend. Eleanor is happy. Nothing is missing from her carefully timetabled existence, except sometimes everything. I got this for 50p. 50p. So this was an absolute bargain, yeah. Then we are moving on to, I think, my favorite store ever, just because the prices are so low for such good books. It's just my little babe. She's just so pretty, yeah? She's just absolute my babe. I should really stop. But the Works has this deal, which is just 3 books for £5, and in that same rack if you would buy one of those books separately, they would be £2. And then they have another rack, which is just really popular books for £3 to £5. You heard me right. £3 to £5. So we're gonna start off with all the popular books that I got, and then we're gonna go into the less known books. So the first book that I got was Beach Read for £5. And this is a quite popular book. The cover says it quite well. 2 writers, 1 holiday, a rom-com waiting to happen. So basically there's 2 writers and they're both on a writing block, but they need to have a book published by the end of the summer. So they decide to switch genres and to see who can get the book published first. I'm actually taking this with me to my summer vacation just because I need to have a book that I know I'm gonna read there, and I just feel like I actually need to read this on the beach, so that's kind of my goal. Yeah. And this next book, I can't believe I paid this price. I can't believe it. I don't know if you will believe it, but I can't. I got The Hating Game for £3. And just to remind you, these are not secondhand. These are fresh new books, okay? Enemies to Lovers, Workplace Romance. I'm pretty sure that like there's a promotion coming up and they both want it, but like she doesn't let him beat her at anything. So it's probably gonna be like a little, oh. And again, another absolute bargain. I can't believe I paid this price for this fucking book, yeah? Do you see this? £5 for a Colin Hoover book. And I've had a lot of people tell me, Sophia, this book is not worth it. Sophia, you shouldn't read this. Sophia, you should totally read this. This is so good. At this point, for this price, if I don't like it, it doesn't matter because this is no money. This is no money for a popular book. It is basically about Lily, and she's never stopped working from the life that she's really wanted. And she has graduated, moved, and started her own business. Then everything is fine when she meets this neurosurgeon named Ryle. You know, their relationship is really nice. And then thoughts of like her first love are starting to come back up and stuff, but then she sees her first love again, and this really complicates the relationship. A lot of people said, yeah, it's really not that sad, but then they haven't read the author's note, so I know that I should do that because normally I don't. Well, now we're moving on to the less popular books. I got this for £2 because this was one of the 3 for £5. Yeah, but this is also one of the Helen Grace. This is the most recent book, and I got this for £2. This book was released last year and I got it for £2. This is the 10th part in the series. I still have a lot of catching up to do because the 11th part is coming out later this year. So on the back it says, an arson at the dock, a carjacking gone wrong, a murder in a country park, what connects all these crimes without causes, which leaves no clues. Detective Inspector Helen Grace faces the rising tide of cases which threatens to drown the city, but each crime is just a piece of a puzzle which is falling into place. And when it becomes clear just how twisted and ingenious this web of crime is, D.I. Grace will realize that it may be impossible to stop. I'm gonna be eating all these books up. This is the three books for £5 deal that I got, which is the Hamish Macbeth murder mystery series. There's 37 books in the series, but it is a series from, I think it was written in the 80s, and it's also a British TV show. But I read one of the books, Death of an Outsider, a while ago, and I actually really liked it. It's like a cozy mystery, so I just decided to buy more. I'm not going to go into detail what all these books are about, but it's basically death of and then it says like who died, and then Hamish Macbeth has to solve that mystery. And in the one book that I read, there was like a little sprinkle of romance as well, so that's what I really liked. These are just really nice to read in one sitting when the sun is out in an evening or like an afternoon, just with a cup of coffee in the garden. And we're now going to move on to the last pile, which was Waterstones. And this is where my bank account I should really apologize to it. Yeah, because Waterstones is like just like a proper bookshop. It's not secondhand or anything. I bought all of these books, and these are all popular books except for 2 of them. So the first book that I got at Waterstones was Truly Devious, and I got this for £9. Truly Devious, I feel like, is also like a trilogy that I've heard of quite a lot recently, and I've heard like a lot of my friends talk about it as well, and just my favorite booktubers. I just had to get it. I I had to get it. And I had only looked for it online and hadn't seen it in real life before. I did not know it was this massive, yeah. I thought the series were quite small. I thought they were just like 350 page books, but no. They're like 400 to 500 page books. I mean, the Good Girls Guide to Murder series was as well, but it's fine. Okay, so this is about a academy which a murder happened very long time ago, and then the entire family and the academy got known for that. And the only clue that was there were like riddles, and that like the killer was just only just like mocking riddles, and those were the only clues that could be found. And then many years later, true crime lover Stevie Bell, you know, it's fun, but then Truly Devious makes a return, and somebody's gotten away with murder, and since she's so obsessed with crime, she's probably gonna solve it. So it's a bit like that. And the next book I got, I wasn't initially planning on buying, but I saw it and then I like just took it like in my arms in case. We just got at the cashier, and then I bought it. And it says the fine print, and actually the girl at the checkout actually said yeah that she really loved the book and that she's excited for me to read it. So I have actually no clue what this is about. I think it's just like two billionaires falling in love or something like that. And I want to keep it that way. And this is one of the books that I bought that wasn't that popular. This was in the YA section, and on the back says, the rock she fell from, the paper she clutched, the killer she thought were friends. I'm just gonna read the blurb because it's really short. When 5 Dublin teenagers arrive at a rural coastal college to cram for their final exams, their most pressing concern is the prospect of a month with no partying. Little do they know that one of them will never make it back home. This sounds good, and I hope this is giving me a bit of like One of Us is Lying vibes, so I hope it isn't too much like that. That's like bad, if that makes sense. But I'm excited to read this. It's not that big, so it could be just a nice quick read. I finally got the first Heartstopper, well, the volume 1, and I've been waiting to read this. So on the back, it explains it very well. Boy meets boy, boys become friends, boys fall in love. That's basically what it's about. It's a graphic novel. This could also just be really nice for like a summery afternoon. I got The Cousins. This is actually my current read. This is from the same author as One of Us is Lying. And I have a few of her other books. I have One of Us is Lying, One of Us is Next, Two Can Keep a Secret, and then this book. And apparently her new book, You'll Be the Death of Me, isn't that good, so I didn't buy that. It's like 3 cousins, and they've never properly met each other because their grandma disowned all of their children. So she had, I think, like 4 children, and she just disowned all of them. And this is why kind of the family fell apart. And they disowned them by also just sending them a card. The only thing that the grandma said to them was, you know what you did, but they don't know what they did. So like, they're like, we did absolutely nothing. I don't know why she's doing this. But then a few years later, all the cousins get a letter from their grandma saying live at like a resort for the summer at their grandmother's resort, and to work there a bit and to meet each other. So the other book that I got was Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. I finally got this. I've been waiting to read this. A young mother fights to earn a place in her child's life, but is there room for her? So basically the main character, she got out of prison, and she wants to reunite with her 4-year-old daughter, but everyone in her daughter's life is like shutting her out. And the only person who hasn't closed the door is like a bar owner, and I think like he really likes her. If anyone were to discover how Ledger is slowly becoming an important life of Kenneth's life, both would risk losing the trust of everyone important to them. The last book I got was I Know You Did It by Sue Wallman, and Sue Wallman wrote one of my favorite books ever, Your Turn to Die. I fucked this book up in 8th grade and I haven't read it since, so I really want to read this before I read this. So the blurb is very short, so I'll again read it. It says, on her first day at a new school, Ruby gets a message on her locker. I know you did it. She's terrified that someone knows she caused a little girl's death many years ago, an incident that still haunts her. But when students at school start dying, Ruby realizes she's being framed by another killer. That, or she might be next, which sounds really good, and that one was really good, and I'm just super excited to read this. Yeah, so thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. I hope you got some good recommendations out of this. I'll see you when I see you. All the books.